Hey, can you hear me okay?
Hey, Chelsea.
You can hear me all right?
Yes, I can.
I have small doggo who is trying to eat my cables.
Oh my goodness.
How's the dog fights going? Last time I checked in, you were checking off your whiteboard list.
Yes, as I had said to folks on the stream just a minute or two ago, I have not made nearly as much progress against my board as I had hoped. Running the stream and the interviews and everything have been great, and it's been hard to do both at the same time. So I'm learning all kinds of lessons. But the promise I'm making is I will work my way through that board for each and every one of the pledges. It just will have to be in you know streams later on down the road here in the next week or two.
Yeah, that makes sense. But it looks like you guys have been having great fun all day today.
It's been good. That morning kickoff with the Grim Reapers was just kind of just the right way to get this whole thing started. I was able to fly with them a little bit, and I think by fly I mean crash. But they went off to the east, and they mixed it up with all kinds of bandits. And the good news there is that they've got their own stream, and so we'll be able to take a look at that, share highlights from various points of view, and I think it'll be great. It was a great partnership. It was so cool to have them come in and be a part of this.
Yeah, I'm really happy they could join us. They were all a really nice group of people too.
I agree, super fun. So hopefully we can get them in again, and we can find other fun things to do. So we've got you on the program for a bit. I know it's a busy day for you. So I would love to make sure that we get to all the topics that you'd like to cover today. Do you think you could start by just letting us know, everybody on the stream know who you are?
Yeah, sure. My name is Chelsea Olson, and I am the activities co-chair for the Future Leaders team at the Museum of Flight. I've been pretty much a lifelong volunteer participant in our education programs. And most recently this year, I also accepted helping out with being a vice chair for the Washington Aerospace Scholars Foundation Board. So I'm pretty involved in the education side of the Museum of Flight. And then outside of the Museum of Flight, I foster animals, and I am an electrical engineer at Amazon.
Now, you mentioned Washington Aerospace Scholars or Western Aerospace Scholars. Alec Lindsay was talking a little bit about that during his segment and some of his personal experience in the program because he was a WAS. I don't know if you call it a graduate, but I think since there were tests involved, I think you would, right?
Yeah. So we actually met. Funny enough, we met in that program. We were both inaugural scholars that year. The program was based off a program that was being done in Texas that the museum education staff thought was a really good fit for the Museum of Flight, and so they made a version of it for Washington. And in 2006, 2007, they started it and accepted the first class, and Alec and I were a part of that. So it's funny because it was Washington Aerospace Scholars and now it is Western Aerospace Scholars. However, for tax ID purposes, it's still Washington Aerospace Scholars. Long story there, but
It's a
yeah,
program that's grown then, so it includes more than just
yeah,
Washington.
right. We have a sophomore program, and then we also have programs in Montana and then Oregon as part of the NESP grant with NASA.
Ooh, there's a NASA connection.
Yes, there is. One of our directors is Dr. Robert Langley, and he works for the University of Washington. He actually works with Paige, who people on the stream heard from earlier, and he helps NASA space grant programs around the western region of the United States get funding and build up programming. So through one of the grants through that side of the house, we've been able to expand Washington Aerospace Scholars into Western Aerospace Scholars.
That's amazing. And what states does it cover?
It covers, we have programs in Oregon and Montana and Washington.
That's amazing. It's really great to see those programs grow. Sounds like there's there's a lot of demand.
Yeah, especially for the sophomore level. I'm sure we all can understand what it's like to be a high schooler nowadays and all the pressure of internship this and this type of camp and that type of camp. So we're seeing a lot of interest in the sophomore level where there may not be as much as that college prep work going on. There's still some, but not as much as I have an internship my rising senior year, things like that, or I got this other opportunity to prep for college. So we're seeing a lot of drive there, but we still have a very strong junior program as well.
Fantastic. And this is just one of the educational opportunities that the museum is involved in. I know that there's a whole host of other ones. What educational opportunities at the museum might people most want to hear about, or maybe the ones that they would never guess would be at the museum?
So we have what we call the continuum of programs. We have programs covering pre-K all the way up to seniors in high school, and even some work, some programs for those who are outside of high school. Really fun summer camps that kind of covers the pre-K to ninth grade area. Kids are building robots, kids are learning about aviation, kids are learning about space, kids are meeting the Blue Angels, which, I was a camp counselor for a summer, so that was great fun to be able to see the inspiration and the wide eyes at being a fighter jet pilot and having the kids ask questions of the Blue Angels. Truly a unique experience for the students that are part of camp that week.
That is the best.
Yeah, it is awesome. But honestly, as cool as the Blue Angels are, I have to say that my favorite are the Fat Albert pilots, the Marines who fly that airplane, because they always spend the most time with the kids, and they're always super excited about getting to meet all the young people who are wanting to be in aviation or interested in STEM.
Fat Albert has a very special mission, doesn't it, with the Blue Angels?
Yeah. Yep. It's their. Ironically enough, one of my coworkers at Amazon was a crew chief with Fat Albert, so that was pretty fun to find out. But that is their maintenance airplane. Not only does he kind of start off the show, he also carries around a lot of the tools and the spare parts that the fleet needs to keep running. In the last couple of years, he hasn't made it out to Seattle, but this year he did. That was due to maintenance issues, but this year he made it out, and it was really exciting.
I think I saw the photos. One of the things that Fat Albert also does that I found out was that Fat Albert, in the case of a death of the Blue Angels pilot, which no one wants and is a tragedy, but Fat Albert will carry that pilot home, full honors, and it's quite a thing to see. It's a very somber thing, but it's such an honorable send-off, and that's really a noble thing that they do.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but that makes me really happy to hear that. I know that there have been a number of Blue Angel pilots who have had accidents in the last couple of years. So that makes me happy that they get a really special and unique send-off. Alaska Airlines does something really similar with when they're receiving military remains. They have a special cart at the airport that they can transport the veteran and to their family. And I thought that was really neat. Something I learned during aviation day at Alaska Airlines this weekend, when the Michael P. Anderson Memorial Aerospace Scholar Program. So this is a program for underserved kids, specifically geared toward those of color and those who are not English speaking as a primary language. The kids who kind of don't naturally filter into a WAS or some of these other programs that we have at the museum. These kids are given this opportunity to meet a very diverse group of mentors and speakers, and get to go to all these amazing events like Aviation Day at the hangar here in Seattle at SeaTac. They brought in airplanes. They set up exhibits. They got to hear a Marine Corps cover band, which is not a thing.
Wow.
but they got to learn about what it's like to be a pilot, a flight attendant, a customer service agent, and really see what envision themselves in a career that they may not have considered or may not be traditional.
It was a really,
and
it was a
that was a lot
whole
of fun.
career. It was a whole career day.
Whole career day, yeah, it was crazy. There were 90 kids that we took from this program, and then also Amelia's Aero Club, our 6th and 8th grade girls club that the digital learning department also manages throughout the year, specifically for young ladies. It's awesome. The Michael P. Anderson Scholars Program is named after the astronaut Michael P. Anderson, who was from Spokane, Washington. Very near and dear to his heart, education and giving those who may not have a leg up in life the opportunity to excel and grow.
The good thing is we're alive. The bad thing is it's a one wire.
Well, this is a perfect way to honor his memory, and it was just a ton of fun. And Amelia's Aero Club is a great way to recognize Amelia Earhart's contribution to the interest in aviation, and get more young ladies into flying and also into engineering and STEM fields. So those are two that I'm directly involved with, but I've started to help out a couple of the others that we have at the museum, like Connections. Connections is probably one of the coolest things the Museum of Flight does for the community.
What is it?
It is a free, no cost at all, no cost to the kid. It's a free student membership program for kids 5 to 18. So they get a membership for themselves and one guardian or parent to come to the museum whenever they want, to explore the exhibits and look at and do the weekend family programs or weekday programs. And they also get a special set of opportunities and connections nights where educators will put out programs like the Flying Gizmo Show, a history of aviation told through toys, or the big planetarium we have, and they'll do a special program in there, or they'll have a preview night of our new exhibit, Destination Moon, the Apollo 11 story, or the Apollo 11 mission, and they'll get to go in and they'll get to experience that exhibit, and they'll get to talk with educators about what that means and why it's important. So it's this really neat opportunity for families who may not be able to afford a membership to a museum to come in, experience the museum, learn about STEM and STEAM and aviation, and have access to programs that they may not know about. So that's pretty cool too.
That is incredible.
Just for scale of the interest in this program in the Seattle area, we were expecting like 2,500 people to sign up. They had over 20,000 people sign up.
Wow.
So it shows that there's a great need for this type of a membership for the kiddos, and a large majority of those actually do participate and come to the museum on a fairly regular basis, to my knowledge. So that's pretty cool.
That's fantastic. Whenever you can get something that taps into that wellspring, when you see something like that 10x over projected demand, you've got something special.
Yeah, and so a lot of the group programs that the education department puts on to teach kids about aviation, space, and science in a very hands-on, approachable way is they're definitely important, and they're definitely needed, and they are a lot of fun if people are coming back and doing them, which they are. Some other things that we're doing, Girl Scouts can step into the shoes of a WASP, and much like, I believe it was the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C., where you get the name of a person and you wander around as that person, these Girl Scouts can step into the shoes of Air Force service pilots, research who they were, and understand who they were, and kind of live the life of a WASP for a day through this program. That one's pretty cool.
Wow.
We have... Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, is that program, is that local? Is that here?
Yeah, that's here. It's one of the ones that the museum is pushing a bunch. I've seen a bunch of ads for it recently. I think it's really exciting that this is kind of getting up off the ground and starting. Another big one that we have kind of along the same lines for younger ladies is the lab coats, lashes and lab coats program, and yes, the name is a little is very feminine, but if that's the bar you need to lower it down to get more girls to be interested in science, because nail polish and how eyelashes stick on eyes is all science and it's all chemistry. So
That's
bringing
true.
that into a way that someone who may not traditionally like science but sees it as science, is a really neat thing to do. I like that program as well. That one's a lot of fun.
Fantastic. Now, you have told us about so many programs, and they're all part of, I don't know if what you said, educational continuum or educational curriculum, but if someone wanted a one-stop shop to understand all the offerings that the museum had for educational programs, let's say they had a kid and they just wanted to find what would make sense or what would spark interest, is there a place that we could go to find out that information?
Yep, there is a great resource online under the Museum of Flight. Education is a big header on the front page. You just go into education, you explore programs, and then you can look at all the offerings that the museum has to offer.
That's great. I mean, people like me who've known the museum for a long time, and I know you have too. Um, if you haven't been around the museum in a long time, you might not know that these educational opportunities are available. This is not something the museum has always done, but when they did, and when they set their mind and their resources to it, it happened in a big way.
Yeah, and it kind of all started out with that Challenger Learning Center and some of the smaller programs that they would actually take out. The majority of the education that the museum does is actually outreach. So they're going out into the community, into schools, and they're interacting with kids. But unless you had seen something like that at school, you may not know it exists. And so that is definitely something I want to work on as a volunteer with our education committee. Is how do we get this out into the community? What is that thing that will make people say, oh yeah, we should go to the Museum of Flight because they have the Challenger Learning Center, or we have private pilot ground school. How do we let kids in the area know? Every kid at every high school knows that they can come to the museum for private pilot ground school and get their ground school done for their private pilot license if they are so interested.
Ground school. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's also something I clearly need. I'm not. I'm missing a lot of stuff about these crosswinds. If I knew a little bit more, if I was a little more book smart, I think I would have been able to manage this a little bit better. So I could use some of that.
I need to go back and refresh all of my ground school as well in order to take my test for my license. But these kids are extremely sharp, and then they leave high school with their degree, and possibly if they decided to do aeronautical sciences pathway, which is a new credit-bearing set of programs that the museum has, they can leave with up to 60 credits of. It's up to 60. It's either 30 or 60 credits of college coursework through one of the local accredited colleges.
That's a lot of credits.
It makes all the difference when you register as a freshman in college. You jump above everybody else in line who has 0 credits. We are heading toward finding more ways to get credit to kids who may not necessarily do well in a traditional classroom, but boy, are they fantastic when it comes to WAS. Boy, are they fantastic when it comes to private pilot ground school, or they're just absolutely fantastic at some of these other programs. So that's amazing. That is to be continued on those, though. we're not quite there yet for some of that.
Now, if I remember right, there was a aviation learning center. And I think that the museum has been working with other museums. There's one in Texas to bring aviation education to other communities, right?
That's correct. And I also believe that there's now one at a museum in Japan. And
that
so
is
what
incredible.
The kids... It is, isn't it? I mean, how cool is it to also be a museum staffer and then be able to go out to Japan and teach others how to spread aviation education in their own language with ties to their own community. It's just absolutely fantastic, and it's really exciting to watch. You and I got the opportunity to go see kind of the first quote franchise. It's not really a franchise. It's not really a spinoff. It was the first non museum, like at the Museum of Flight Aviation Learning Center down at the Lone Star Flight Museum in Texas, which is also a fantastic flight museum. And that was really neat to see because the kids they go through the process of learning kind of ground school, like what does weather do, what effect do the winds have on your control surfaces, what are the four forces of flight, so that very basic understanding of the physics of flight. And then they get to go plan their route and then do a full pre-flight on a real aircraft that is disassembled and brought into the venue and then reassembled. In Seattle, we have a Cirrus, which I absolutely love. It's a really pretty aircraft. We did an escape room, side note, this year, which was a lot of fun, where I had the education department tried doing an escape room, and it was awesome. It was a bunch of random people all in a room trying to figure things out, and you were climbing over the seats and climbing into the back and standing on the wing and looking up over it. It's a great tool, even for post-secondary education. And anyway, when the kids do their flight, and after they do their pre-flight, they go into simulators. I think they're actually now Redbird simulators, and they get to fly the route that they just planned to Payne Field up in Everett, Washington.
Oh, so that's a beautiful flight.
It's a gorgeous flight. It's a gorgeous flight even in the simulator, and it gives them a real sense of accomplishment when they land the airplane. Even with bounce mode on, they land the airplane. It's great.
One of the things that I love about these stories with Houston and with Japan is this idea that the Museum of Flight can reach beyond its sort of physical space. It can be other places, and it can help other groups of folks that might not be able to make it to the museum, or or digital only, or whatnot. And honestly, I think that ties in to what we're doing today here. With this virtual Fly-a-Thon. Sure, it's part of Give Big, and sure, it's it's raising money. But if you could imagine a program where we could connect people with the magic of flight through simulators, they don't have to be on site, and even if they don't want to fly, they can watch these streams. They can ask questions of the virtual pilots. We can have other guests on, just like you and our other Future Leaders Team folks, to talk about the science and magic of flight. And it could be a whole thing where the museum's footprint extends far beyond its sort of physical boundaries. And it's something I'm hoping that we can do more of in the future.
I'm right up there with you, hoping that we can do more of the virtual fly-ins or a virtual splashdown or whatever we come out of with this idea, but have some of our curatorial staff on, some of our well knowledgeable artifacts collection folks to talk about the really interesting parts of the museum that we don't normally get to see, and all the different things that we can learn from the collection that is behind the scenes. Because like the Smithsonian, a very tiny part of the collection is actually visible to the public, and there are thousands upon thousands of books and pictures and letters and all these things that you would never expect a museum to have. And we have really incredible collections from amazing people, like George Haig, I believe that's how you say his name. He was he was part of Mission Control during Apollo 11, and his items are part of the Apollo 11, Destination Moon, the Apollo 11 mission exhibit. And just hearing more about this stuff and engaging as a community well beyond the reaches of Seattle would be awesome. And I hope we can keep doing that.
I think it's a win anytime we can. So we're, I think as a Future Leaders Team, we're going to help try to do that in our own way and try some of these things out and see what sticks. We started out with a military flight sim, but there's no limit. Civil flight sims with X-Plane or Microsoft Flight Simulator, we can build communities around those. We can build World War II flying communities with the number of simulators that we have. There's something for every interest level. And software is a little bit tricky, but there's always folks that can figure it out. And so together, I think we've got the brain trust to put together some new and exciting communities to help museum out. So I'm pretty excited about where we're going to go with this. I think I've said the word excited like 3 times, like the past 6 seconds. But I'm gonna let it stand because that's how I feel.
I'm just as excited as you are, and I think I've used the same word a bunch also. But shameless plug, if there's anybody on the stream who has found this to be really cool and has enjoyed hearing Charles talk with Tommy and Paige and Alec, and I think you guys are going to hear from Kernal right after me. We're all members of the Future Leaders team, and we are trying to help the museum in whatever way we can, in whatever way they need it. Come join us. Send us an email. I believe you have the email, Charles. We can post that on Discord or here.
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
Send us an email if you're interested. We're always looking for people who want to help expand the reach of the Museum of Flight and who care about it as much as we do. Because, gosh darn it, I don't know where I would be without it. I would not be the person I am today without it, and I definitely would not be where I am in my career without it. It is truly it opens the doors to opportunity for the participants of its education programs, be those short-term or be those long-term. And that's what's so exciting about seeing all the different programming and everything that they're coming up with and trying to get as many people interested in STEAM. So for those not aware of STEAM, it's science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. Yep, that's the right spelling. And that inclusive of arts, because arts and engineering, as we saw at the Met Gala, super awesome. But yeah, we're trying to get as many kids interested in it as possible and give them as many opportunities as possible.
Isn't it interesting how we hear sort of the same story from many of us on the Future Leaders team, and I think many of us would say the same story no matter where we are. The Museum of Flight has had a notable, a real impact in the direction and the shape of our lives. That's something that's rare and special and valuable, and it happens over and over again. And that's one of the reasons, for me personally, when I had the chance to come back and help out, to do my part, I jumped at it. It was not even a question in my mind, because this organization, since I was a young child, has done so much for me that it's almost a reflex. It's almost something that bypasses the brain and goes right to the nerves and says, yes, I want to give back. It's just had that kind of impact on many of us, and it's amazing.
Absolutely, I agree with you, and it looks like Krunal is probably stepping up here very shortly to talk with you all about all of the amazing things he does. So I thank you guys for your time, and love talking about the Museum of Flight. It's one of my favorite places in the entire world. So if you have any questions, let us know. I'll still be running around on the Discord, helping promote people who want to fly, and then just hanging around if anyone has any questions or any comments.
Chelsea, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, and good luck on your flying. Don't get caught up by any of those bad guys, and do find more AWACS. It's fun to watch you fly next to them.
Copy that. Thank you, Chelsea.
Okay. See you later. Bye.